only in certain areas, but also they have a way of like...
Macho Man Randy Savage went
Yes, sir.
to the high school across town from me. Anyway, you were saying.
While you were there?
No. No, he's a fair amount older than me, but...
Okay. Oh, I see. He didn't just like stop by.
No.
And say what's up.
He went to that school is what I meant. Sorry. You were saying.
I understand. What was I even going on about? Yo, what is up, gamers and SCP survival fans? And welcome to Game Gems, the show where we check out the cool, smaller, hidden gem video games and give you our initial impressions. I am Christian Macias, and joining me, video lead Peter Hunt Spitek. Today we're checking out Abiotic Factor, the new Half-Life inspired survival game from Deep Field Games. Peter, are you ready for a little bit of co-op survival game?
I honestly cannot wait. I've heard you talk about this game a little bit, and I haven't seen anything about it, so I'm very interested.
Quickly wanted to show off my little dude here.
I love it.
Looked like me back when I had my longer hair. I got a haircut since then, but yeah, this is me. Quick note, the game is currently in early access, has been for most of the year. Although recently they put out their 0.9 update. They are very close to 1.0. And by they, I mean Deep Field Games, small studio from New Zealand. You'll hear some Kiwi accents in the game. They've
my favorite.
Some of the NPCs. Isn't it cute and quirky and kind of fun?
Something I love about accents like that is like they talk like that all the time. You know what I mean? Like for us, it's funny and fun, but like no, that's just how they sound.
Very quickly, I wanted to spend just a minute here going over the very interesting characters you can select. They each have their own strengths and skills. And then once you select your character type, you go into your traits. And this is so much fun because you have to have a balance. If you want more positive traits, you have to get negative traits. So things like maybe you get hungrier faster if you want something like Lead Belly, which lets you drink tainted water. Again, the premise of the game is it's your first day in this Australian government scientific facility. And once you get there, the facility goes into lockdown due to a containment breach from scientists experimenting with creatures from another dimension. It's also 1993, so the aesthetics kind of, center around that. You can pull up your little watch. It's a Casio. It tells you the time.
I like that.
Because again, day-night cycle happens in this game, but at nighttime, the power to the facility is lost. So things like crafting benches, things that are not connected to batteries, lose power, so you can't do certain things at night if you haven't stored energy in your battery. I'm getting too ahead of myself. First of all, initial impressions. What do you think about this game? Any questions?
So I guess my question is like, is this a survival game or what is the sort of premise? So the premise is like it's your first day at this facility, but like what are you specifically trying to do? Is it like a narrative focused thing or what?
Yeah, dog, I'm so happy you asked. It is a survival game, and off the bat, when I heard my friend suggested I play this game, I was like, I'm not super into them, you know? I've played a few. Most of them, I kind of get the pitch. I kind of get like the understanding of what like the loop of the gameplay is. And I started playing, and it is a survival game, but it very quickly surprised me with sort of the way it streamlines some of the expected systems of survival games, but also gamifies others. And we'll take a look at what I mean specifically in just a few minutes. Good. It is, yeah. You can increase your cutting speed if you wear a cooking hat. That's awesome. But it is narrative. It is narrative driven, and it has an end. So slowly, as you try to exit this facility, right, we start learning about like what is actually happening, what actually happened with the ultimate or alternate dimension creatures. What is happening with this like military involvement? It gets complex pretty quickly, and there's a mystery that's like kind of carrot on the stick the whole time you're playing. That is honestly pretty enthralling. I spend a lot of time rereading journal entries from emails that I've gotten from computers.
Oh, look at that guy.
Just a little pest.
A little pest. So are you fighting these sort of monsters or are you just trying to like avoid them?
Well, you right now, this is the first weapon we find is a knife. Normally you use this to carve enemies that you've already killed, but there's a ramp up in terms of difficulty. You're gonna get smaller enemies first. This is the opening's
Oh, I see.
post tutorial section before you start to get actually going in the actual facility, sort of giving you, opportunities for you to stock up on certain things that you can start to craft, and we'll go over that in a little bit. But yeah, there is combat, gets steadily more difficult the more you traverse deeper into the facility.
Sure. So when you die, are you just restarting from the very beginning, or is this like, save states and all that?
Multiple respawn points throughout the game. You can choose where to respawn from, whether it be the opening of the sector that you're in or your bed that you might have slept in. You lose what's in your inventory when you hit tab, but you don't lose the items in your hotbar.
Okay.
So if you've got some solid weapons and gear in your hotbar, you can respawn with all the things and just run straight to your loot. Get it pretty easily.
Got it. I definitely see the Half-Life sort of inspirations here. Not just from the tiny little, head crab adjacent enemies there, but also just like with the way this game looks. Is it as I guess you wouldn't call Half-Life an immersive sim exactly, but it does have a lot of those sorts of elements. Yeah, is this a game that has like a similar like puzzle solving ideology?
I would say no, only because this centers more on the survival aspect. I guess the puzzle aspect you can get close to is this right here. When you craft something, you have to think of the idea first, and so you have to think about the things that might make this recipe first. Then you unlock the ability to actually craft the thing. So here I am figuring out what do I think would make a crafting bench? Well, it's duct tape, some scrap, and then some pipe.
Yeah,
you put that together. And so that's the gameplay loop of crafting in that regard.
So then are you finding crafting recipes, or is it just like if you put those things together, it'll make that no matter what?
So you do find crafting recipes, but the way they unlocked is by finding the material to make it.
Got it.
A little pop-up will come up and be like, hey, you think of a new crafting recipe.
I see. Oh, yeah, that came together pretty quick. Oh, and you got to plug them in too. Okay, that's kind of neat.
You got to plug it in. And I sort of streamlined the opening here a little bit, but we're gonna get into the facility out here, the facility proper here in just a second. So we got to save Dr. Yeager, and Dr. Yeager, sorry to say, does not make it.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Yeager. That's exactly what happened to Dr. Yeager in Attack on Titan.
You big Attack on Titan guy?
I've gotten to the final season of it like twice and like kind of just dipped out.
Stopped every time?
Yeah, it just got a little complicated for me. I know sort of what happens and where it all goes, but I the first time I got to the end, it was because the show took a break, and so I just
there was a lot of final parts of that show, weren't there?
Yeah, so I tried to read my way to the end, and I got about where I left off of the show, and I was like, all right.
Yeah. One thing I kind of glossed over here for a second is that there are different types of, if like you've played like a Tarkov style or other survival games, different body parts are injured. So if you injured your legs, you need a splint. If you have like a critical bleed, you need a bandage. If you have low health and need to regain health quickly, you can take a syringe and you start to boost your health past your injury.
That makes sense. And I see down at the bottom left there are those, like, is that your right arm is broken and maybe your body's broken?
And my torso.
Yeah.
Those are the parts that are more damaged than my right arm and my legs, yeah. My head's just fine, though.
Great. So in games like you said, like Tarkov or even like Fallout and stuff, when you get body parts injured, that sort of changes your ability to use them and whatever. What does having your arm broken do? Does it mean like reloading is slower or attacking is slower or something like that?
Arm specifically, I haven't noticed anything because I haven't seen something like your arm is broken, but legs broken for sure. That hurts. That will determine how fast you can run, or if you can even run at all, or jump even, or how much stamina you take or lose per jump. Things like of that nature. So you want to always have some kind of splint on you just in case.
So is like you know, when you get into combat and whatever else, is it something you are really worried about? You know what I mean? Like taking damage, is it a big deal if you get hurt,
Yes,
or are there
dog.
a lot of like healing items and stuff like that?
I am on the verge of death almost constantly every
Okay.
day. Even when I'm playing with my friends, like you get into one combat scenario and you're pretty low health. So you want to make sure you have healing on you.
Sure.
But really, like, I kind of screwed up with my character that I play with my friends in that I picked a negative trait that like I re-heal 20% slower. So I feel the consequences of my actions all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like how this looks. Oh, and you can drink it, or you can. What does washing yourself do?
So you can have a buildup of filth, and the more filth you have on your body, the sicker you might get sick more easily. So you want to be washing yourself. I also couldn't drink that water because it's tainted water.
Yeah.
So if I don't have lead belly. If I did eat, raw food or drink tainted water, I might get sick and start throwing up or have to go to the bathroom.
Sure. So I'm just trying to make sense of sort of the vitals and stuff in the bottom left there. Is your hunger displayed anywhere, or is like the thirst displayed anywhere? Is that a big deal as well? Making sure to have like food and all that?
Yep. So if you hit, I think it's X on the keyboard. I might have seen it shown it off a little bit earlier. Maybe I showed it off again. You can see your entire character status, whether that's buffs or negatives, and you can see there's a progress bar. You can see how hungry you are, how thirsty you are. So it's always a good idea to have some kind of food and water on you.
Gotcha.
Food is a lot more sparse. Water, you'll see some like water jugs around. You can refill like a water bottle or something. But there's also vending machines. And I'll show off another vending machine later.
Can I ask too, so you found all that tainted water, are you able to like collect that and clean it? Or is it just like, nope, that's tainted and that's it?
If you make a stove and then power that stove and then make some kind of pot, you can fill that pot with tainted water and then boil it to make clean water. But there's also evaporation physics.
So sick.
You're not going to get as much water out of it because it, evaporated into the air.
Dude, that's just like on Survivor, man. Oh, this is cute.
It's
It's a little mini game.
Yeah, a little mini game. The better you jump over these little pests, the quicker you regain your tired meter.
That's interesting. So can you be attacked like while you're sleeping?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I have. Not in this section, obviously.
Can I ask too, like I've seen you like looking at your watch. How quick does time move, would you say? Like is it pretty quick in terms of like in-game time?
Somewhat. It depends on the time of day. It's pretty generous in that I would say like 2/3 of the game is set during the day and then 1/3 is at night. For
Okay.
whatever, they make it a bit nicer. The devs make it a bit nicer on you. Nighttime doesn't take as quickly to go through. Daytime you get a bit more leeway in terms of doing things, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Dude, this is
Dr. Roberts.
Dr. Roberts. Got a hose, a flashlight, some cloth, backpack.
So you can see right there, I picked up a hose and I got an idea for a garden plot.
Oh, cool. So that makes a lot of sense. So you mentioned that this is multiplayer. Are you like in a server with other players? Is it like kind of like a Minecraft situation, or is it?
Yeah, you can. There's a server browser. If people have their server public, you can certainly join. It's up to 6 players. Otherwise, you can just make a party with friends and start one that way.
Got it, but it's not like Rust, where it's just the whole game is on a handful of different servers.
Right. Exactly.
And then are you? So I know you mentioned like it is narrative driven, but so do you have like a specific objective that you're working towards now, or like does it kind of just drop you off and say figure it out?
It kind of drops you off and says figure it out if you aren't paying attention to the NPCs. Right now, all we know that the way out is towards manufacturing, and so we have to find a way into manufacturing. And to do that, we have to open Silo 3 to retrieve power cells. And you can see that in the top left. That is our main objective. And the way you do that is by finding NPCs, finding out where it actually is in the map. Here we go. First look at nighttime here. And then figuring out, okay, so I need to craft X or Y thing to get into beyond the door.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it gets like dark, huh?
Yes.
Is that guy
absolutely.
a friend? Is that guy a friend or?
No. There's an email that's like, hey, the workers apparently were like complaining about this to the company and being like, yo, there's no employee setting for these robots. So if you're working late, these robots will like kill you.
Dude, I love a game that has like a bunch of emails in it. Oh, and so you caught him. So what did catching that guy do? Was it just an easier way to kill him?
Easier way to kill him. Yeah, you can stomp on him. As far as I'm aware, though, in like the later game, you can make more complicated traps for them to steal those pests and use them as like guinea pigs to power things.
I love that this is a mini game.
Pooping?
To ease your passage, yes.
Doesn't that rock? We need more games with pooping. I'm saying it right now.
In Metaphor, Refantasio, if you use the bathroom on a day that is divisible by 5, you get a luck boost.
To remember that resting is key to
Massive. Thank you, Atlas.
Yeah, so.
And thank you, T-Field Games.
Yeah, it doesn't take any time at all. Go ahead and use that in your playthrough.
So this is me finding out where the door for manufacturing is. Also, the game looks a bit smoother. I switched from OBS to NVIDIA. So you're going to notice like my actual PC performance now instead of OBS.
I was going to ask, so performance, so obviously this is in early access, and so I imagine it's on PC only at this point?
Exactly, yeah. Performance is great, by the way. There in the 25 hours that I've played with friends, I've seen one loading screen, and it was like 1.5 seconds of like riding a tram to another location, and the word loading popped up for a quick second, and that was it.
That's super simple. I liked that big cosmic thing back there that was very like Half-Life 1 reminiscent.
This is where the game starts its intrigue of like, all right, so the scientists were doing something, right? Mm-hmm. Something wrong happened at this facility. We don't quite know what. And we find this portal to one of the alternate dimension places that they were stealing resources and taking creatures from to experiment on. And the way to get to the next section is through the portal.
Okay.
There's also radiation. There's a radiation system in this game, so you can take iodine tablets to ward off radiation. Some enemies, if you cook them or cook them wrong, you'll take radiation poisoning, and the more poisoning, the sicker you get. You start vomiting. You start losing thirst and hunger pretty quickly. It's a quick way to die if you don't take care of your radiation poisoning.
Sure. So is it like similar to a game like Fallout, where just being in here you're like acquiring radiation buildup, or is it like when you take damage from certain enemies or eat certain things, like you said?
Depends on the area. This place is safe. You'll notice like little white dots in the air if you're close to radiation. That's how you know you're getting poisoning. But here we're fine. There's no radiation here.
Look at this guy. It's like a lizard guy. He looks like the Tyranids from Warhammer. Is this kind of like what a lot of the enemies look like? Because the other ones looked like sort of dinosaur bugs as well.
Either all these kind of lizard creature-looking things in some regard, but they do get crazier and crazier. I don't show this off, but maybe I'll mention it. The game goes places, man. It gets into like some weird like back rooms, liminal spaces type stuff. There's an area called Flat Hill that's inspired by Silent Hill with an enemy that made me and my friends go, "What the fuck is that?" And made us cower in fear. Like it's legit like surprise. This is my thing with this game, is that it's continuously rug pulling you every opportunity it gets, and making you challenge what you think the game is doing next. Some of the enemies in the section that we're in, which is like, I don't know, maybe section 3 of the game, I have no way of defeating. I got to figure out how to come up with a way to do so by just going on supply runs and crafting new recipes.
That's what I was going to ask too, but like, are you finding enemies that, that's an interesting way of doing that. Are you finding enemies that like are way above your skill level? Is that common, or would you say that that's only in certain areas?
Only in certain areas, but also they have a way of like...
Macho Man Randy Savage went
yes, sir,
to
yes, sir.
The high school across town from me. Anyway, you were saying.
While you were there?
No. No, he's a fair amount older than me, but
Okay. Oh, I see. He didn't just like stop by.
No.
And say what's
He
up.
went to that school is what I meant. Sorry. You were saying.
I understand. What was I even going on about? Oh, enemies.
Enemy variety. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They have a way of introducing them where they feel like just above your current like skill gap, if that makes sense. Where you can maybe take them on if you're smart about it, but otherwise it's best to retreat, regroup, go on supply runs, and find a way to like attack them in a way that'll like let you defeat them without taking much damage or without dying. So like this example right here, I have to fight my first security bot to craft something to get me to the next area. But all I could really find what to make right now is a pipe, sort of this pipe blunt melee weapon, and a crossbow. And so it is just me trying to cheese him around this fountain using it. But I didn't make enough bolts. I end up having to resort to my pipe and go close quarters. You'll see how that turns out here in just a second.
Yeah, I'm curious. I like the detail on this crossbow that like it gets latched on by like a binder clip.
Oh, you like that? Yeah.
It's cute. Oh yeah, I imagine it does not pause when you open up a menu.
No, real time.
This is
real
going,
time.
This is going rough, huh?
You can pause in solo though, for sure. You can hit like escape and get the traditional pause, but in inventory stuff, yeah, for sure.
This is not going well for you, Christian. Oh, and it didn't.
No, but peep this out. Remember that fan I was installing?
Yeah.
There's enough juice on it. The daytime just started. It should be running now. Sorry, this little carbuncle got a hold of me.
It really did.
So I want to not die. I want to go fight this robot that I almost killed. Run over. Bro tried to take out my fan, my chompinator, but died to it.
Oh, I see. See, that's kind of cool. Get him. And so that was not able to be turned on at night because you said there's no power.
No
at night?
power.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I didn't connect it to a battery, so it turned on during the day. And I got my little scraps, some root beer, and my security bot CPU to help me craft the next thing to get me to the next area.
So this seems like the kind of game where it's like important to like work smarter, not harder. Where it's like you probably could have figured out like, oh, well, if I just attached a battery to this thing and lured it over here, it would just get caught in this thing and die instantly.
Absolutely. And that was what my friends and I did once we realized we can make traps for these robots, and we cleared them out in like one night.
Sure.
Otherwise, like me playing by myself, very rudimentary stuff on me, it would take me 3 or 4 in-game nights to get all the things that I need.
And then when those things die, are they dead, or do they respawn, or how's that all
No,
work?
they respawn, dog.
Okay,
They respawn every night. You want to build a base that is not near a robot for sure. Peter, we're wrapping up here. I barely scratched the surface of Abiotic, but like the gameplay loop is there, man.
Yeah.
It's so good, so smart with its design. The devs just get it. If 1.0 releases this year, this may be a contender for Game of the Year for me. It is that feature rich already.
Well, then, I mean, coming from you, that is high praise. So I might have to check this out then. I tend to wait for 1.0 stuff just because early access can be hit or miss for me. But I mean, this seems like a very, very neat kind of game.
It is neat. Peter, that was Abiotic Factor. And that is this week's Game Gems. #TGGG. Let us know what you think of Abiotic Factor down below. For all things indie, survival, make sure you stick with the gamer. And until next time, keep being nice to each other.